What's your why?
Thank you for having me talking about important things in our life, like teaching and education and why.
You're listening to What's Your Why with 2022 North Dakota Teacher of the Year, Bret Dockter, and me, Tom Gerhardt, with North Dakota United. This episode, the inspiring story of 2023 North Dakota Teacher of the Year, Ivona Todorovic.
Ivona, it's great to see us. It's always great to see you. I would like to start off today. Can you tell us a little bit about where you teach and what's your content area, and then how many years have you been at it?
Well, I did lose a count, but I think I'm about 29 altogether. You know, if I count the years that I taught in Bosnia before I moved to the United States, and then 8 years as a paraeducator, and then last 18 years, you know, as an English language learner teacher. So it's about something like that, 20 plus, almost 29, which is a great thing to say as experiences. Only it just makes me think, oh, how old I am.
Well, the trick is to just keep saying 29 years, right?
Yeah, right. I'll just, that's it. So, yeah.
Well, I know this is a question with quite an answer, but if you tell us a little bit about your story and fill in some of the gaps you mentioned Bosnia, you mentioned the 8 years as a para. How did you get into education? Why did you get into education? And was there an aha moment when you were younger, when you knew this is what you wanted to do, or did you come by teaching from another avenue?
Well, I think this will be probably the kind of a most boring part of my interview because I don't have that aha moment. I think I was born with it. I just had that, since the beginning. I just knew that I wanted to do something with teaching. I think my mom said it started with the neighboring kids, from our neighborhood. Just kind of gathering them and playing school and just kind of being in charge of all of them and just having fun with them. And then spilled into extracurricular activities where I just learned leadership and the meaning of, communication and making connection and just starting to be a storyteller in a way that I actually signed up and went to a preparatory school, high school for education and being an educator. When I got my, it was announced that I got my Teacher of the Year award, one of my kids from that neighborhood in Bosnia, she's my Facebook friend. She actually wrote her comment down. Oh my gosh, you always been a great teacher, and finally you recognize you taught us a long time ago. So anyway, so that would be kind of a thing that I just felt it in my heart, and I think I feel blessed and lucky knowing what I wanted with my life. I went from, I'm going to teach history because I love history, and then, and I'm going to teach this and that. And, it's just kind of changed the subject areas. And then I finally became an elementary teacher in Bosnia. But unfortunately, the war happened. And no matter how I wanted to, stay and make difference, with those kids, we just had to leave because sometimes you get to the point that, your life is precious and you need to save your family, so to speak. So we got to the point we couldn't stay. So we became refugees, and one thing led to another. We reunited with my husband's family here in Grand Forks, North Dakota, of all the places, which I think that's another blessing for me because it is a wonderful community that, totally welcomed us and accepted us, and some beautiful and wonderful teachers connected me to the district and education. And I started my journey as a paraeducator in Title I program at Lake Agassiz Elementary School. And they recognized my passion that was just once again awakened. And from there, we started to plan my, going back, getting recertified and being able to teach in North Dakota and being a resident teacher with a great mentor for a year. And then after that, I just invited to be a English language learners teacher, how I like to call it, multilingual teacher. And that's how my story at Red River started.
That is a great story. It's almost should be made into a movie. So
Well,
you talked about mentors, Ivona. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the people that shaped you through the years?
well, I just want to point out at the beginning that my understanding of mentorship is a little bit different maybe than other people's, and or maybe the same, I don't know. But I honestly, and I just want to be clear on this, that my most impactful mentors are actually my students, because they are the most, they're really honest, and they give me straight out feedback on my lessons, on my teaching, how I'm as a person, and everything else. And I have to point out also, they come from cultures, they don't go around the bush. So many of them very straightforward, and just they tell it as it is. And I needed to be told as it is. So I think those are my first line of my mentors every single day. I also appreciated my amazing cooperating teacher when I went second time around for my student teaching here in Grand Forks as a fifth grade at Ben Franklin. Alice Smith was amazing. And she is still amazing teacher who actually, just emphasized all of the strengths that I had. And we worked on my weaknesses, and we just we were a good team, and she taught me a lot and gave me guidance and gave me freedom and recognize all of these strengths. Oh, you're amazing at read alouds, or oh, you're going to actually be starting writing workshop because look at you. Oh, you're a wonderful storyteller, and so on. And just we kind of build on that, and we started that relationship. Actually, me being her para at Lake Agassiz as a resident teacher, she was at that time, and then I connected after so many years with her. I said, "Hey, can I come to your classroom and learn from you?" And that's how we started. And I was also lucky to have Joni Kilber as my mentor as a resident teacher, because I was part of that program at UND for a year, teaching second grade at Phoenix Elementary. And she was a great guide, and she knew what I was interested in and just emphasized that and helped me along the road, because it wasn't easy to be a mother, a full-time teacher, a full-time student, grad student, and doing everything perfectly. So she was my big support. And then lastly, I want to say every single teacher, especially my co-teachers, are my mentors, because I learn every single day something new from them. Either it's a content related, because I just joked today, I'm kind of a half-time science teacher because I co-teach biology and physical science on daily basis. And I just learned so much, and I co-taught and meant every single content area besides econ. And every single co-taught, co-teacher was my amazing mentor and my support. And then, we just cannot forget also the people in my life that I came across. They were my mentors, and I would call them life mentors, not just teaching mentors. We share stories, we connect, we communicate, we do what humans do, and we become better. So I think, and then I'll continue to have those. But at most, I think my kids, my students are my mentors big time. Every day they point out and they tell me how it is. And I need that.
You have a world perspective, Ivona. But what could you tell us about issues that you see facing educators today, whether it's a classroom teacher or one of your co-teachers or a para, coming from all those backgrounds that you have? What are some of the issues you think, challenges that we face?
Well, you know what? I have to start to say that, education is a very complex process. It's not just job done, job, you're done. You just go through K through 12, or you go beyond and you're done with it. Just knowing that it's not a destination, but a constant journey. And it is affected by many outside factors. And I don't know if that's a blessing or not. Because, we are affected by politics, world pandemics, parents' loss, programs, all kinds of things. And we are in the public eye all the time. No matter what we do, we are there. And then sometimes you have to be really careful what you say, what you do, how you act, and just forget to be yourself, and especially lately with all the, COVID-19 and hybrid teaching and all other things. And then now we are also facing teacher shortage, and being able to teach and find subs and everything else. But I think it's just all those initiatives that are amazing that we need to learn and continue learning. But sometimes we just, how we have a phrase here in America, our plate is just too full. When you keep adding, and then me as like personally, I am a yes person. So I really hardly can ever say no. And I think for my sanity, I have to learn how to say no if I don't like the word no. But I think sometimes we just like, you have this, I think it's an accurate description. It's just too many things on our plate and it's hard to say, no. And then it's hard to break that, pattern or, the system, and especially if you don't have a good network and support. I'm blessed with a great team. Cry and laugh together and we survive. But I just think there's so much that we are facing, like, oh, should I meet tomorrow? I'm sick, but I can't find a sub. I can't put everything on my people. Other people are losing their prep time, or some people don't have enough money. I have a single teacher on my team. She's not married. She's single and she works 2 more other jobs. She cleans and she works at a place for entertainment, I don't know, throwing axe, whatever it is. So she works 3 jobs just to survive and support herself. And then, it's just, then you're put on different committees, which is great. And we should be involved. But, sometimes that person that says yes all the time gets all of the added items to our plate. So, it's just a complex thing. And I think it's just that, I think that a lot of people don't understand it's a process and it's evolving and it's changing and it's hard to accept the change. And I don't know, it's just hard. And I think everything is easier when you have a great network, when you have great people and when you support each other and you have each other's back, because that's how we survive right now, to be honest with you.
You talked a little bit about change in your last question. How have you seen education change in the 29 years that you've been part of it? How have you seen it change?
I have to say it was a positive thing. There are a lot of great things happen in education. I just think personally, I grew in a better educator. I grew in a better teacher because of all these changes in education. Because we gain a lot of different tools, strategies. We got Generation Z in our classroom. Hey, that is a great challenge. And it's amazing. And it's just, it's fun to have them. And then also, with those changes, we adapt and create something new and better. That's the thing. But this is what I'm seeing as we go through. And like I said, we are the public servants. And I think, in my opinion, the biggest change was how the public or society see education and the role of the teacher. I think that's the biggest one. Respect and appreciation got lost in a shuffle between technology, social media, Google it, approach, and COVID-19. Unfortunately, the most important, the trust and value of education, public education, and profession of teaching got lost. And so that's the reason that drives me each day to be better and to continue this journey, because, we just have to do better. We have to get that trust back, and we have to understand, we have to help the society and the public understand what our job entails. And I think the bottom line is also that we have to always remember that we are needed, because we are the ones bringing the human connection, and making education human and humane, relating to our, essence of learning through, connecting and communicating meaning and constructing new meanings, because we need new innovators, new scientists, new teachers, new people to lead this nation and the world too. So I think that's kind of how I sum it up.
What gives you hope about education, Ivona?
Our young generation, our students, our kids, them having more positive experiences with their teachers, their education and their learning. The more access to learning we create. And also we have to keep in mind different kind of learning to different learners. I think then, and then have more opportunities, that which leads to more opportunities, which creates and make this world a better place for all of us. And I think the one thing is that we must focus on educating and teaching a whole human being, and not just focusing on curriculum, which is important. Don't get me wrong. It's really, really important, but also social and emotional aspect, because we are growing people. And then my hope is that public education will thrive to serve all students, providing them with equity and personalized strategies, for them to become successful learners. So build their content interests so young, so that young people don't just say, oh, I'm just going to be this. They can do any job in the future, not just a job. So an education, being honest, representing all of the students, no matter where they come from and who they are. So we just have to do a lot of work on that kind of a thing, because, and I said, the connection, relationships, storytelling cannot lose the meaning or the impact, because we have to put that in the center of our attention so that we can go back to what's really important.
I know this is going to be a good question here, because I'm excited to hear your answer for this. You've talked a lot about your students, and I'd like you to share with us a moment or a story where teaching or your students made a difference to you. Is there a moment that you can think of where the teaching stood out to you?
Well, there are so many of them. I have to, I kept telling my kids, I have to write this darn book, and I have to write a book. I have to write a book, because I just need to be their storyteller. You need to share their stories, But I think one really really impactful one that reminded me that I matter, and my work matter, and I make differences actually happened about 5 months ago. I was in my classroom, and my classroom phone rang, not my personal phone. And I answered the phone. I said, this is Mrs. Todorovic. Another line says, oh, Mrs. Todorovic, this is P person. Remember, you had me as a high school kid in your class. And of course, I remember him. A boy with, how would I say, an interesting person, definitely a joy to have in my classroom. And he was like, I am just on my way, driving my kids to school. And I just want to tell you that I am so appreciative that you pushed me and you made me, did everything for me and encouraged me to cross that finish line to get a high school diploma, because I moved to a couple different states. I was in Texas, and I moved to, Pennsylvania. And every single time I applied to any job, they asked me first, do you have a high school diploma? And he was like, I am so thankful to you. And I was like, can you please hold? Because I want all of my students to hear this now, the speech, because you are more powerful than me right now, because they just keep forgetting that. But he is the kid actually that, I had this group of young men sign up for junior English class in summer, because they needed that for graduation, like recovery credit, And the first day, summer school, every minute counts. The first day I come, and nobody's there. And I was like, what is going on? So guess what I did? Mrs. Todorovic knocked on every single door that morning and reminded the parents that the kids need to be in school, because they need to be there to learn and to earn their high school diploma. So anyway, he made me cry that day, but they were happy cheers, definitely. And another thing I want to just say that, I work with kids who are so cognitively able. They're just, language is barrier. And they have so many assets that they bring that sometimes we easily overlook because, we look at the deficits, and we should not be doing that, not just with EL kid, any kind of a kid. But I had a kid that actually connected with my son, because my son was, volunteering, through Global Friends Coalition. And this was, unaccompanied minor. And he actually had struggled with reading, writing, everything. I mean, not just speaking and, just the literacy in his first language, and then of course in second. But this kid lived on his own in a camp, in a tent. He burned that tent so many times learning how to cook when he was 7 years old with no mom, no dad, just another kid of 9 years old. And guess what they did? They got these lemon and orange and lime trees from a charity in an Ethiopian refugee camp. They took those trees, they planted them, and they tended to those fruits. And finally, they got fruits and they sold them, they used them, and they made a business. And that was only regret when he came and started my class was like, oh, Mrs. Lurch, I miss my trees. But if I share that story, if I'm, a brave storyteller and tell the teachers these kinds of things, there's so many things that teachers can do to actually help this kid. So I don't know. So these are my inspirational stories, and I have so many of them, but, so I just remember, lemon and a phone call, and I'm good even if I'm having a bad day.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
What advice would you give to new teachers, Ivona?
Wow. You know what? I would just say number one thing is be open to new ideas. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Collaborate and share with your colleagues and find a story behind each child. And then we all have bad days, and we don't hold any grudges against the kids. Every day is a new day. If you had a bad day today, tomorrow you open the classroom door and you smile at them, give them a hug or a high five, and just say, hey, welcome back. It's great to see you. I would say listen carefully to your students. Teach with, backwards design in mind, because you need to know your final goal always when you plan. Breathe, cry when it needed. Because when you cry and when you take a pause to breathe, that's how you heal. And find time to self-care. Whatever makes you happy, makes your mind go in a different direction. Like me walking with my dog that my students chose for me and selected for me. And then always know your why. Because you make a difference. You just have to be reminded. The why is always important. So I think those will be some of the little lessons of mine. So
absolutely right. So what would if there was one thing that you could change, you think, to make education better, what would that be?
I guess I have become a really kind of a problem solver, and in a way I look at the big picture and bigger picture all the time. I go a lot ahead in my head, and I guess that's not a good thing sometimes, and it's a good thing at certain times, But I would just say this. I would say engaging our students, no matter how little or how big they are, in honest conversation. Meaningful conversations, hard conversations, because they can do it. Because they don't have to be sheltered from everything. These conversations will help them to understand not just the content, but the world around them, and create a path for them to be amazing leaders of our future nation. We are too scared to talk, and we should not be. Because these kids, we are leaving everything to them one day, because they are our future. And they need to be equipped with skills that are needed. And one thing is a dialogue. And in this nation, we need to really teach kids how to dialogue. And a lot of our educators, again, back to that problems, we are afraid what other people will say if we are starting these conversations. Because we have to relearn a lot of things, and we have to admit a lot of things. And that's how we start. And I hope that everyone who's listening to this understands what I'm talking about. Because kids can do unbelievable things. We just have to let them do it. We have to elevate that, and then we will just see miracles happening. So not every kid has conversations at their, kitchen table, at dinner table. We just have to give them these opportunities, because they are the future.
I was just thinking about the wall of photos of family you have in your room, and you shared some of the stories of what some of those students have become. I think there were a few doctors and mechanics I remember you mentioning, and things. And it just leading to the next question just got me thinking about the next question. And why should students our young people consider a career in education?
I am really trying to convince a lot of my amazing students in my classroom to become teachers because we need them. I would say if you want a job where you make a difference, not sometimes, but every single day and every single minute, be a teacher because you matter and what you do matters. And thriving of our nation and our world depends on it. Honestly, it's education and educating young minds. It is the most rewarding job on this earth, and you will never stop learning. You will never stop laughing, playing, living, and being young forever. And it is education. Actually, the description of education should be humanity in making. Honestly, that's it. So do we want humanity to thrive and to be who we are? Then choose education because we do really make a difference in our students' lives. There's so much that is involved, but there's so much fun, even when you teach cell organelles. And honestly, we just had so much fun yesterday. We laughed and did all kinds of things. Sorry, I have a lot of stories to tell, and I know you don't have time for that. So anyway,
I completely agree with you. If you can't have fun teaching, you're probably not doing it right because it's a great time. They'll make you laugh every day. That is a great point.
Definitely.
So we're going to bring you to this last question here, and I think this is going to be something to remember. We all hear about people leaving education and all of that stuff, but I'm curious, and Tom's curious about what it is, why people are staying, and we would love to hear why you're staying in education.
It's a 3-letter word, J-O-Y, joy. Simply said, it's joy. We've been reading this, a really cool author in one of my classes. His name is Ross Gay, and he says that we incite joy when we care for each other, especially and it's understanding a joy fully. It's not just when we laugh and having fun and everything is fine, a straight line, and we just fly, or we are on the waves. But also joy means hardship and sorrow. Joy means embracing the storytelling and do things, that matter. And it just doesn't exclude just sadness and pain. And my students are my joy, and stories, their stories and teaching them is my joy. Collaborating with other people is my joy. And this joy is basically connect, expand, and influence. It is so powerful. Even though, I'm not gonna, I have bad days, but I'm always reminded of that joy. Because even if I having the worst day ever and they come to my door and say something, even smile or just make a joke, and we have a lot of inside jokes too. I just, I am reminded every single period, why am I staying where I am? Because it's a joy. It's a simple joy. And if you understand the joy in fully, like, author Ross Gay would say, then you understand that it is worth it. It is worth it because as human beings, we have to have a purpose of our life. We have to have a journey that we hop on and we just ride on it. And this is mine. And I'm happy. It makes me happy. Even when I cry, it makes me happy. So anyway.
Ivona Todorovic, 2023 North Dakota Teacher of the Year. It's been a joy to be with you and hear your stories this afternoon on the podcast. So thanks for joining us on What's Your Why?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I still say, if you want to make this into a movie, can you call Tom and I? We're on this.
Definitely. You will be the first one to call.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to What's Your Why? For Bret Dockter, I'm Tom Gerhardt.